Hello, how's everyone doing? It is your fallen angel back with another video. Today, we are going over the meaning of Brahmacharya. Now, we've done many videos on this playlist of Brahmacharya, the practice of it, the practice of removing lust, the practice of understanding copulation versus desires, and etc. But today, we're specifically going over the definitive meaning of Brahmacharya. So without further ado, let us begin. Brahmacharya literally means achara, or conduct, that leads to the realization of Brahman, or oneself. Now, for the people that are not necessarily celebrating or practicing Hinduism, it doesn't necessarily mean to you that you have to find the realization of Brahman. But what it does mean is finding your inner self. We all have an inner self. Coming to terms with the Atman of all Atmans is your inner self. It's about finding liberation through this virya, right? This life force that you have is also known as virya, or the sperm. This sperm is very potent. It's like God's energy within you. It's essential to understand self-realization and why you're here. We explained this many times on this channel, whether we're talking about Brahmacharya, whether we're talking about Hinduism, Buddhism, the Cabala. It's all about the light body and finding out your inner self. It means the control of semen, the study of the Vedas, and contemplation on God. The technical meaning of Brahmacharya is self-restraint, particularly mastery of perfect control over the sexual organ, or freedom from lust and thought, word and deed. So our previous video on our Brahmacharya playlist, we talked about prana, mind, and virya, right? All three are interconnected. You cannot be a complete brahmachari unless you have all three in control. The whole body must be in control. And in order for it to all be in control, you must be in control of your breath, prana, your mind, intellect, and your virya, the semen or life force within you. Now, if one of these chains is removed or messed up with, the whole tower will collapse. So it's essential that you prove self-restraint in the mind, in the breath, and as well as the virya, or your life force. Brahmacharya is about self-restraint and perfect control over lust, thought, word, and deed as well. Strict abstinence is not merely from sexual intercourse, but also from autoerotic manifestations, from homosexual acts, and from all perverse sexual practices. We see that in culture today. Many things are propagating to things that are getting escalated. Sexual things are getting escalated beyond belief. Things are no longer in a natural formality. Things are now being unnatural. Many things are becoming unnatural in Western culture, right? So you must you must stay away from any perverse sexual practices. Anything, whether this is anything along these lines of acts, anything along the thoughts, anything along the deeds. You must stay pure in your thoughts and your breath as well as your life force. It must further involve a permanent abstention from indulgence in erotic imagination and voluptuous reverie. All sorts of sex anomalies and evil habits of various sorts, like masturbation and sodomy, must be completely eradicated. Now, you may think, just because I'm not having sex, I'm not wasting my life force, I could masturbate. This is not the case. You must not waste your life force. You must not frivolously do these kind of things because your lust and your animalistic desires is driving you to do so. Do not waste your energy doing things like this. Use your bioelectricity to either create something or do something greater for yourself and the cosmos, as well as your future family as well. Be the man that they want to look up to, the father that you want to be, the brother you'd want to be, the son you'd want to be. In all categories, you must embrace yourself mindfully, physically, in Brahmacharya. They bring about a total breakdown of the nervous system and immense misery when you act upon your sexual desires, right? Many men who are lost, many men who don't know purpose, many men who are constantly drained of their energy, they are in immense misery. They don't know where to go from there because they are losing their vital life force that is giving them their drive. Brahmacharya is purity in thought, word, and deed. It is celibacy and continence. Brahmacharya is the vow of celibacy. Now, Brahmacharya is not just a vow of the physical. Brahmacharya is a vow of the physical, the mental, and the emotional states. You must be emotionally intertwined. You must be physically intertwined. And most importantly, mentally. All these things are intertwined so you can be full brahmachari. The term celibacy is from the Latin calebs, meaning unmarried or single, and signifies the state of living unmarried. Now, it's essential we say that you wait for someone you actually want to be with for a long period of time, whether this be your wife or if you're a woman, whether this be your husband. You wait for who you actually want to give your body to. Do not allow lust to be the swaying factor, because lust come and goes, just as like these relationships nowadays. Many of these STRs, what we know as short-term relationships, are basically driven off lust. They are not driven off marital values, ethics, morals, similarities, compatibilities, things of that sort. It's just transactional and sexual. That's what these STRs are made of. Long-term relationships are about sacrifice, love, compassion, copulation to create life force of your children, taking care of your children together, right? That's what marriage significantly is. Marriage is about children having access to both parents. That's what marriage is, right? It's about taking care of your next offspring. Don't use your animalistic desires and your nerve tingling that comes with sex to just use it as that. Use this life force to create something greater for yourself, your family, and most importantly, this cosmos. It requires self-reflection. It requires self-liberation to even understand these things, because many people are only operating off the limbic system and reptilian brain because this is so overpowering in the brain system, at least. But Brahmacharya is not mere bachelorhood. It includes the control not only of the sex or reproductive indriya, but also of all other indriyas in thought, word, and deed. So just being in control of your body is not enough, but you have to be someone who is respectful, does not see the opposite sex for objectification, who knows how to lower their gaze, that knows to show respect, to act like adult in this infantilized culture we have today, where everyone around you seems to be acting like children, regardless of their age, because of the mass amounts of brainwashing that we see, the massive amounts of sexualization that we see, the massive amounts of hyper-sexualized marketplace we live in today. To be an adult and to be mature, that is extremely rare in society today, it seems like. So to embrace yourself in Brahmacharya fully, it embraces not just the sex or reproductive act, but thought, word, and deed as well. As a man, the most important thing you have are the two things in this world: your balls and your word. And you should never be wasting any of that. You should never be wasting your energy, your balls, your testes that are holding your seminal secretions. Don't waste this away for nothing. This is God within you. This is life force within you. And as far as the word goes, as a man, you should always stick to your word. You should always be true to your word, because many people are cowards in this society. Many people do not stick to their words. Many people they're looking for someone to look up to, in essence. Be that person that people look up to. Be the person that sticks to their word. Mean what you say. Remember, words are power. These words hold power behind them. Don't just say things you don't mean. Don't do things you don't want, okay? When you're constantly wasting your seed, your energy, you would do things not even a child would do, because you're not thinking with your logical brain, your rational brain. Your biggest tool in this world is your ability for discrimination. You must use this wisely. This is the definition of Brahmacharya, in a broad sense of the term, The door to Nirvana or perfection is complete Brahmacharya. So for self-liberation, for moksha, for Nirvana, for blissful state, you must learn to control the desires, keep the desires tamed, and reach for something beyond the physical. At some point, the physical desires will not engulf your large appetite. It will not fulfill this insatiable urge for reproduction. It's just nerve tingling at the end of the day because your body wants to successfully reproduce. But there is a plane of reality that we don't see. The spiritual plane, the astral plane, the auric field around you. These are real planes of existence. We are spiritual beings within this physical body. The spiritual, the soul is forever. This physical has an expiration date. The hair follicles on your body has an expiration date. Your organs have an expiration date. Everything in the physical has an expiration date. But the soul is eternal. This is the Atman of all Atmans. This is beauty, is understanding the inner self. Complete celibacy is the master key to open the realms of Elysian bliss. The avenue to the abode of supreme peace begins from Brahmacharya or purity. So understanding this gateway to the spiritual is to remove the animalistic desires. Not necessarily to say you can't have children. Of course you should have children. But you should still keep this practice well understood. You should understand this practice for sure. Your sexual energy is what drives you to do things in this cosmos. Recognize it for what it is. Don't just frivolously waste it away because your lust is so immense and society around you is propelling and putting this lust on fire even more. It's like putting ghee or butter into the fire. They're trying to make it bigger, right? But like we said here, the avenue to the abode of supreme peace begins from Brahmacharya and the removal of your animalistic desires. Brahmacharya is absolute freedom from sexual desires and thoughts. A real brahmachari will not feel any difference in touching a woman, a piece of paper, or a block of wood. Brahmacharya is meant for both men and women. So when it comes to looking, touching, etc., you should see all women for what they are. They are mothers, sisters, grandmothers, daughters. Do not see them as a piece of meat. And the same goes for women, for men. Do not see these men as transactional beings, as just pieces of meat, someone to exfoliate or just extract as much wealth as you can from them, or resources of sorts. You should be able to see them for what they are. Fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles, aunts, family members. You should see them as you should show some the same respect as you would for your family, as you would for them as well. You should show that we are all one. This is this understanding of liberation, that everyone around you is all one. Do not use these animalistic desires to curve your understanding of the world. We are all one in this cosmos. Brishma, Hanuman, Lakshman, Mirabai, Salaba, and Garji were all well established in Brahmacharya. Mere control of the animal passion will not constitute Brahmacharya. This is incomplete Brahmacharya. You must control all the organs, the ears. They want to hear lustful stories. The lustful eye that wants to see objects that excite passion. The tongue that wants to taste exciting things. And the skin that wants to touch exciting objects. So simply put, many religions and many people think that if they cover up their bodies, that means they're removing lust. But lust can operate in many forms, right? Speech, gossip, touch, taste, indulgence, materialism. This can all cooperate with incomplete Brahmacharya, right? I've worked in many places in my lifetime where I've seen people who enjoy this form of emotional intimacy that we know as talking, speech, in very derogatory ways, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean sex, but communication of these sorts is also a form of emotional currency, whether it be women, or it's mainly women who enjoy these things, but men and women also, right? So to be truly embraced in Brahmacharya, you must control all the senses: hearing, sight, taste, feel, the virya. Every part of the body must be embraced in Brahmacharya. You can't just say, well, I'm physically not going to have sex, but I'm going to constantly talk about derogatory terms. I like to hear derogatory stories. I like to watch derogatory visionaries. I like to excel and really exert my taste on a bunch of gluttonous things. This is not full Brahmacharya. This is incomplete Brahmacharya. This is not the true meaning of Brahmacharya. In Brahmacharya, you must be complete in all the senses: mind, body, and prana. These all have to be intertwined in order for you to be a complete Brahmachari. So a mere control of the animal passions is not enough, because as we see here on the chart, reptilian brain is the smallest of the brain in the human body. But this is also within many animals, right? All they know is reproduction and survival. And then we have the limbic system, which we have many women that are operating off this. Many men are operating off this as well. The neocortex is our greatest ability as man, our ability for discrimination, higher thinking skills. But sadly, the reptilian and limbic system overpower the neocortex because of its desires to feel, the constant need to feel something, the constant need to want to feel something, right? So it's essential to realize Brahmacharya has to be complete with all the systems here: reptilian brain, limbic system, and the neocortex. To look lustfully is adultery of the eyes. To hear anything that excites passion is adultery of the ears. To speak anything that excites passion is adultery of the tongue. So do not just think that just because you are physically pure, if you are looking lustfully, this is adultery. If you are hearing something that excites passion, this is adultery to the ears as well. And if you're speaking something that excites passion, this is adultery of the tongue as well. So it's essential to realize how all of these things are intertwined, right? Because these are also forms of emotional currency, right? This may not be the complete sexual act, but this is a form of emotional intimacy, emotional currency. So with that being said, guys, this has been another video in our Brahmacharya playlist, specifically going over the meaning of Brahmacharya. Feel free to like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. Check us out on Patreon, Rumble, Twitter, Instagram, things of that nature. This has been your fallen angel, and I am out.